Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the fever bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Anything can happen on Halloween. The Sweeties could watch a spooky movie. Anything can happen on Halloween.
Has anybody seen my tambourine?
Witches of Eastwick is what we watch. Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
Just thought I'd get it out there. Hey,
It was my
hey,
movie. I got to know.
hey. All right, start over. Hey guys.
Hey guys, welcome to Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey guys, it's Halloween. Happy Halloween. Feels a little anticlimactic because, we had a big party last weekend. So we dressed up. Look on Insta. You'll see a really cute picture of Sweetie and myself dressed as Wizard of Oz themed things. So I was the Ruby Slippers.
I was Ozma from Return to Oz.
Yep. We killed it. It was really fun. We wore wigs.
Yeah. It's just hard when Halloween falls not on a weekend.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Only 2 more years. Or maybe even 1 if it's a leap year next year.
Friday.
Next year will be
year.
Friday. Okay. Wow, it's going to be like mad
But it
parties.
is a leap year next year, so I think it's
Saturday?
Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, shit. So 2 years from now, we got to go off the wall.
No,
with,
1 year. Leap year,
Oh.
right?
If
So
so
it's
next
gonna-
year's leap year, then
And it
it will
fall
be
on
Saturday.
Thursday. It fall on Saturday.
Awesome. Okay.
I guess. I don't know.
Plan a big
I don't know
next
how,
year,
I
guys.
don't know how things work.
So it's Halloween. We also live in the city and I live in an apartment building, as a Sweetie, and the trick-or-treating situation is
I don't like trick-or-treaters anyways. It'd be really stressful. And when we lived in that house in Medford, I would just turn off the lights and hide because I didn't want to talk to people.
do that. I'd like to see, I'm at that point, I'm old, that I want to see the cute little costumes and shit. So yeah, so it doesn't really feel like Halloween. I mean, at work today, there was one guy dressed as Santa, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Halloween.
Someone was dressed as Santa at my work too. What a dumb
So
costume.
he sits on the other side of the floor as me, and I didn't really notice until I left work to do some errands, and he was outside smoking a butt as Santa. It's probably ruined
That's so
some
weird.
kids'
Why?
Christmas.
Maybe because they have the Santa costume already, so they're just lazy and they're oh, I'll just be Santa.
I would never mix holidays like that.
No.
Confusing.
No.
So yeah, happy Halloween. In the spirit of Halloween.
Oh my god! Wait, you know what I would do though? A great group costume would be the Calendar Girls. I'll be your girl. Season.
You said that before.
What? No.
Maybe when we did Grease too.
No.
I don't think anyone would get it.
I don't think you would get it.
I also
People would get
to
it
be
who
July.
were cool, and that's all we need to know.
Yes. So it's Halloween, as was said. In spirit of Halloween. Previously we've done October as a whole month of spooky movies, which I kind of wish we had done, but we didn't. So we just decided to drop one spooky movie on the spookiest day of all, Halloween. And I decided to do The Witches of Eastwick.
The Bitches of Eastwick.
From 1987. I remember watching this movie as a child.
Me too.
Believe it or not.
Me too.
It was a late 80s movie. So 87. So, it came around in the TV a couple years later. So we would have been
Did you say in the TV?
It came in the TV a couple years later. I'm sure it was on the UPN network, like all the movies we've ever watched when we were that young. And I remember being really fucked up by this movie for a couple reasons. I mean, it's pretty trippy. Some fucked up shit goes down. Jack Nicholson is scary. I don't remember the ending that
What?
much.
That's all I
know.
remember.
Oh my god! And when we watched it today, I was like, "Oh my god! Was I peeing my pants at this ending?" It's pretty
I
scary.
mean, it is long. It's
It is
2
long,
hours,
yeah.
so maybe you fizzled out.
It was edited.
No,
the
the
TV.
end was definitely on the TV because that's the part I remember the most. It was just what the fuck? But yeah, I think maybe Carol liked this. I think did she like all movies with Cher? Was she a huge Cher fan?
Who doesn't? Okay.
I know, but like Moonstruck. I don't know. I have all these memories with Mom and Cher, but maybe it's just all from Moonstruck.
I mean, I'll say it again, and she's won an Oscar, so it's not, she's
Right.
legit. She's legit. She's a really good actress, and I enjoy her in every role that we've done for this podcast, and even ones that we haven't. I haven't seen Mamma Mia 2, but I'm sure she's good in that. Or Burlesque. Sure, she's great in that. I'm sure she carries the film.
Yeah.
Cher is awesome, and pretty much why I love this movie, like 75% of the reason probably why I love this movie. So Witches of Eastwick, 1987, starring Jack Nicholson as the Devil.
On point casting,
Oh
I
my
would say.
God. Can you imagine
if somebody
anybody
was
else?
if somebody was like, who would you get to play the devil in a movie? I'd be like, obviously Jack Nicholson, because I'm pretty sure he is the devil.
He is his devil, and there's a perfect description of him when they like kind of conjure up their perfect man. It is kind of like exactly what Jack Nicholson is like about. But there's like elements of his Joker performance in this from Batman, but that didn't happen until a couple years later. So like interesting.
It's just who he is as
He's
an
just,
actor.
Like greasing the wheels.
It's like Jack Torrance. It's just like he has those outbursts. Like that's just
right.
how
so
he acts.
In Shining too. You're right. Like he's good at crazy.
Yes,
for sure.
yeah.
Then you have obviously Cher.
Cheryl.
Sherilyn Babikian or something. I forget what her real name is, but it's like Sherilyn. Good old Cher. Susan Sarandon.
Susie.
What a babe.
Susie Q.
She really turns into a babe.
I love her glow up.
Oh
It's
my
the best glow up of all time, right?
God.
So
she's
good.
hot. And
Yeah.
she's like pretty big boobs, and they look good on her.
They look good.
Yeah.
They look good.
They try to cover them up when she's all like nerdy, but they come out. And then the lovely, equally talented, probably one of the most beautiful women ever, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Can
Right?
never spell your last name.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer.
It's impossible. And autocorrect doesn't even help me out even a little bit. It's really rude.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. Gorgeous. A couple of other 3 people you may know in this movie. Veronica Cartwright, who's in Aliens. Sweetie tells me she was the mom in Flight of the Navigator. Totally forgot about that.
Yep.
And The Birds. And then you have Richard Jenkins, who's like also having a glow up currently in today's times. He was in The Shape of Water. He's having a good time. And then good old Lurch. Forget your name. Sorry. Classic character actor Lurch has that like whatever that condition is where you have like this like that I don't know how to say it in a non-offensive way. Cranial
Square head?
something. Lurch. He was in Men in Black, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's like insanely tall.
Right.
He's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I think that's it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So obviously, like some big heavy hitters. This is after the John Updike book. So if you're familiar with American Authors 2.
Oh my God, he's in Dr. Sleep.
Oh, awesome.
Lurch.
John Updike, huge American writer, probably like one of the most famous, died like 10 years ago, maybe at this point. But that book was written like only a couple years before this, which I didn't know. So like 1984 or something, 4, I think. And, took that and made this movie out of it. And good idea, because what a fucking story. I've read the book. I cannot remember.
Damn.
I mean, I'm like not a huge John Updike fan. I think he's like a really good writer, but some of his themes are like pretty misogynistic and to be not this one, which is what is kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
But I remember like the Rabbit Run series. Did you read that when we were in book club? You ended up joining it. Did you?
I think so.
So I struggled with that a little bit, but he's an excellent writer, and this is like a really cool story, right?
Right.
What else is there to say about it before we talk about the plot? Devil, Witches,
Devil,
what are your
Witches,
thoughts?
New England, takes place in a sleepy New England town called Eastwick, which is not a real town, but obviously is supposed to be somewhere Salem-y.
Yeah, it's got to be like an old town
Yeah.
with like Puritan
Yeah.
like values,
Roots.
like kind of tied in there.
Witches.
Obviously we're from New England. We're from we live right outside of Boston, but very familiar in these parts with witchcraft. Even though like Salem witches was like a total bullshit thing. If you've like looked into it, it was basically like bad moldy wheat.
Oh, sweet, there were real witches. There were real witches out there, I swear.
No, it was bad moldy wheat. It made people like absolutely
The real
fucking
witches
crazy.
just stayed quiet because they're smart and didn't get in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Duh.
But what is this movie about? So we'll go into it with the synopsis, but it's quite like a feminist film, I would say.
Yeah. Girl
power. We just said Spice Girls.
Hoes before bros
Yeah.
or whatever. Is that the saying? No. Bros before hoes? No. What's the woman version? Chicks before dicks. That's it. Yeah, that's basically what it's about in a nutshell. Do we need to do the synopsis? I don't know. No.
Yeah, so that's like really comforting, and obviously like watching it an 80s movie that's like that, I would say like somewhat atypical in like a lot of ways. You know, you have like we said, sort of like girl power. The women are pretty like feminist. I'm not sure if they're necessarily feminist like because of the stuff they went through, let's say, and it like kind of turned them against men which was like a, you know, in that sense. They seem like kind of hardened to men because of their circumstances.
Oh, like at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have like this figure come into town who seems to be like the answer, the opposite of that, and changes their mind about men. But unfortunately, he's not a good person.
Are you doing the synopsis like
No, I'm
right
just,
now?
I'm just giving
What is happening?
I'm just giving a teaser. But,
Spoiler. Synopsis spoiler.
but I'm just trying to say that it ties in a lot of themes here. And I really wish I could remember the book at all and remember.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I might reread the book now. I mean, this is a
Sweetie Book Club?
Sweetie Book Club. Yeah. I read books. And yeah, that might be interesting. But overall, good rewatch, yes. I remember most of it. Again, not totally the ending, as it kind of like scared
For me, it's the
shit out of
opposite.
me.
It's I don't remember a ton of the beginning,
Oh,
and
I remember the
but
beginning.
remember like the like when Jane has her glow up and on. I think is when I like.
What do you
key
keep
in.
saying?
Glow up.
What is that? Glow
You don't know
up?
what a glow up is?
No. Is this
Oh
a
my
new term?
God.
So the kids are saying
see
these days?
Neville Longbottom for more information. It's like
I've
somebody
never
who
heard
was
of that
like
term.
not attractive before, but then they just had this like emergence of sexuality and
Okay, I remembered from this
beauty.
movie that everyone got a glow up.
the complete
And-
transformation of a person's appearance for the better.
Okay. I would have just called it a makeover. But
Well, the kids are calling it a glow up now, so
fuck
get with it.
kids, get over it. Get over it. I thought that all of the characters got like a makeover after boinking the devil. Turns out it was really only Jane. Like they really dressed her down and made her like nerdy and
Well,
nervous,
yeah,
and then
full
that like,
makeover.
released.
But I think
something in
the
her.
other two, they also are more like sultry and like Alex's hair is even bigger than it used to be, and Suki's is like curly. Also, I don't know.
Right, 'cause Suki
they're
does
more like
get,
sexual.
like a different style.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, yeah. But Jane seems the. I mean, she
Because
like
she was-
totally changes her attitude,
Right.
and she's becomes like so like a skanky
Yeah, hers
dresser
is
and all this stuff.
hers is the most obvious.
But yeah, when I was young, I thought like, you know, kind of once they had sex with him that they all changed like that. But I guess that wasn't the case.
Rots. All right. Well, okay. I guess we'll just start. Let's just get into it before you reveal any more of the synopsis.
I don't know what I was doing. I was just like, spinning my wheels. I
Well,
was like,
there's
I
these
don't have anything else left to
women, and
say.
then they come to the town. Like, oh, hold on. Put on the brakes. It's coming in hot.
Sweetie breaks. Yeah. Okay. It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
Men are such cocksuckers, aren't they? Not said by a woman in this movie, mind you. A man said that.
Good for you and your father.
Good for you and the devil.
Alex, Suki, and Jane are three friends, the three best friends that anyone could have, in living in Eastwick, Massachusetts, I think, is the state. Alexandra is a potter. She makes little booby dolls, little fat booby dolls. Is her style.
How does a bitch make money? Okay, she sells to like one little rickety ass gift shop on the boardwalk,
Well, her
and no one even buys them.
Right. Her husband died, so maybe I think she's living off maybe his money
She does have a
of,
sweet
of
house,
like
though,
whatever. Yeah. So I think it's just like she just doesn't care.
in like the middle of a bay.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Suki is a writer who has 10,000 tow-headed children, all girls, and just like run around. They're all like creepily the same age, so I don't know what's going on there.
She gets pregnant.
A lot.
I know, but like, how are they all? They
Well, one
can't
after
all
the
be.
other.
I know, but like, one has to be a little bit older than the one that is. Because if she has like 6 kids, then one has to be like pretty older than the other. And I didn't sense that.
I get what you're saying.
She could only have one at a time unless they're children.
Maybe
They're
some are
triplets. Maybe. But yeah, she is and I feel bad about this, but initially I wrote down mom ? Because they take a little while to introduce you to Suki and her job, which is interesting. But she's actually a reporter, a newspaper writer, which is pretty good for her. Good for her. Go Suki. And then we have Jane.
And sorry, her husband left her.
Her husband left her with her
5
zillion
kids.
kids. Yeah. So fuck him. And then we have Jane, plain Jane, who is a musician. She plays the cello and is also a music teacher at the local school. She's very buttoned up, wears her hair like a Mormon-style braid and these big bug eye glasses, turtlenecks like buttoned all the way up. Isn't that so uncomfortable? I cannot even imagine having something buttoned all the way up my neck like that with the
like kinda
thing.
cozy.
It's like, no. I feel like I'd be like, oh, I feel sick.
There.
But those are the gals.
She's divorced.
She's divorced, just divorced.
Settling it. Yeah.
So they're living their lives. It's a little bleak there in Eastwick, a population 7,501 or something. It's pretty small. Not a lot of hot guys in that town. I'll tell you. Everybody seems to be married, which is, tales all this time. I'm with you there.
Or a groper.
Gals or a sexual harasser like the principal of the school that Jane works at. Oh my God, he grabs her ass right in front of the kids.
So gross.
What the fuck? So they're enjoying their life. So some spooky-ish things kind of happen when they're all together, right? And we've seen this before. We saw this in The Craft. You get some women together. They're all thinking the same thing. A coven, if you will. All thinking the same thing. Oops, the thing happens. Whoa. So they're at this like weird, what is that? Is it a celebration? Was it like a graduation?
Wait, does that happen before or after the martini night?
Before.
Oh, it does.
I thought, yeah, before.
Okay.
But yeah, there's the principal's like doing some like weird like Nazi speech or something about like liberty and like
Yeah, it seems like
it's
there's
like
a
really weird.
As we said,
that?
like New England Puritan, the Puritans obviously like founded New England, but I guess still had some towns that were like real deep in the religion. So it seems like they kind of have this town that like religion somewhat like runs it. Everyone is very like moral and pure, and that's like the thing with the shtick with Eastwick, and they don't really belong, right? Because you have not only are they like kind of the youngest, the hottest, they're like talking about penises all the time, but they also are unwed. They have tons of children, single, so they're not fitting into this sort of like rigid town of Eastwick. So yes, they're at this very strange ceremony, and all of a sudden the sky opens up and it's pouring and thunder, and then it rains like all day. It like doesn't stop. And they come to realize that all of them at the same time were thinking during this creepy Nazi ceremony, I wish it would rain. I wish this guy would stop talking. Blah,
I wish
blah,
it
blah.
would be over or something would happen.
And
blah,
so
blah, blah.
this thing happened, and only Suki's like, that's like kind of funny. You guys like all were thinking that. And then, Alex is kind of the cynical one and sort of blows it away. And I kind of forget what Jane's reaction is.
Mostly disbelief. But then they get to talking and they're like, well, like what would be the perfect man essentially? So they all
get drunk, I think.
They drink like 8 pitchers of martinis. Holy crap. Play some cards. Eat a lot of spray cheese.
Spray cheese, guys.
And I think it's really funny when Jane's like, how many calories are in this? And she's talking about the martini. I'm like, Jane, honey, like you just ate 2 bottles of spray cheese. Like, I think we should be more concerned about that.
Why did she care?
I don't know. Because they're trying to make like her like she has bad self-esteem because she's playing Jane.
Right.
But anyway, so they talk about the perfect man. So here are like some qualities, I guess, that they hope that this perfect man will embody. So they want him to be from out of town, obviously, because
town sucks.
you need a stranger. Stranger danger is hot sometimes. But yeah, everybody in that town totally sucks. So out of town for show. Handsome. Simple, right?
But not
who doesn't want
too
to
handsome.
They don't. They don't say that.
Yeah, they do.
No, the old lady in the pottery shop says not really handsome, but riveting.
No. They say that she goes handsome, and then someone goes not too handsome, because I remember that distinctively, because I'm like, that's exactly how I describe Jack Nicholson, because he's like,
I don't think he's handsome at all.
I think there is like a handsomeness to him, but then he's also kind of not handsome. That's what I think makes Jack Nicholson so interesting looking.
Yeah. Somebody who's nice, sure, okay. Somebody you can really talk to. That's nice. And then lastly, most importantly, a working dick. So you need that for sure.
It's so
right?
simple.
They get into a little.
The perfect
they're
man.
like, should it be the dick be super big? No, like I like small dick. Who likes small dicks? Like
Jane.
what? Medium. Go for
She
medium.
said aesthetically it creeps her out.
Aesthetically, a teeny
Just
dick.
like seeing it creeped her out. Like a
I
big
think maybe she's
wall
just
of skin
afraid
is not
of
what you want.
dicks. Like, go for the medium. Like, weird. I don't know. So they do that, and then we see this picture of a very like scary black car like speeding down the road. And whatever, blah, blah. So we're made to believe that like, oh, I guess this guy has arrived. So cut to Jane's performance, some cello thing, string quartet, whatever. And there's this terrible noise happening in the back of the hall, and somebody is snoring and or killing a pig. Hard to tell. Both, I guess. And it's Jack Nicholson, and he has fallen asleep at the back of this hall and is snoring loudly. And then everyone's like, who the fuck is this? But the women are all very like intrigued by this man. They're like, what is his deal?
So before this, he has been around town and has met some of the people. Like Suki talked to him on the phone, and the weird thing is that people, when they meet him, are very charmed by him, and they're like very excited about him coming to town, all that, but they can't remember his name for some reason. Oh, I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know he told me, but like no one can remember his name. Weird.
Super weird. Yep, he buys this like old estate at the like top of the hill or whatever, very luxurious. He said he needed it to fit all of his pianos. Like, you need a reason. Like, if you got the money, like, just take it. Why you're like, why do I need this big house? Like, who fucking cares?
And it's a creepy estate because they used to burn witches there.
Okay. Which is false, because they did not burn any witches in New England. I learned that from Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which is a movie with Katie Holmes. It's not very good.
They only hung them or crushed them with stones.
Right.
Hello.
Exactly. But yeah, good times. So now the women one by one basically encounter him. So Alex like is super intrigued by him. Like, oh, I love the balls of a guy to like fall asleep snoring loudly like in a musical performance. So she kind of, I guess she bikes to his estate, but like to like peer at it from the distance. But then he walks up behind her. He's like, looking for me. And she hates him. He's like kind of the worst. He invites her to lunch, and he's just saying like all these like derogatory things, and is like pretty gross.
A lot of penis talk.
A lot of penis talk. And then takes her up to the house and legitimately just like lies on the bed and is like, let's have sex. And she's like, no. And she gives this great speech about how he's awful and like lists all the reasons why. And then he uses his like fucking devil charms and is like, boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Now you want to have sex with me.
Well, it was like, what I didn't kind of get with that was that I really thought she was going to leave. And I mean, I know she didn't, but like she goes and comes back a couple times to like sass him a little bit more. And then I guess this does make sense now that I'm kind of breaking it down. He starts picking at her insecurities, which is like, she's a very strong woman. She prides herself on being independent. She doesn't need anybody, et cetera, et cetera. But deep down inside, she is very like insecure, I think, about that. So he starts kind of like, kind of wearing away at her, being like, why do you need to go home, Alex? Like, no one's there for you. Like, your kids are fine. Like, you don't have anybody. Just same old shit, blah, blah, blah. And, like, kind of gets her down to this level where I guess she was like, oh, I guess I will stay. And
I think it's part of
your
his
devil
devil
dick?
charms. Like, I think he just, like, turn on a thing that, like, makes women like need him or whatever. Like, I think it's all part of that seduction process, right? See the snake charming Eve in the Garden of Eden for more information.
But it was like, because the way he seduces all of them is a little bit different.
Right.
And that was like her way, which was interesting to kind of like chop her down, I guess, was kind of like the way he did it. And maybe like she was just used to people like.
Well, he tried at lunch being like, women are great.
Yeah. Right.
Or whatever.
And it
he
didn't work
tries it, yeah. So then they have sex, so la-di-da, hooray. And then Jane meets him next, and he like comes to her house, and he's a fantastic fiddle player.
Violinist.
Fiddler. And he tells Jane that she lacks passion in her music playing, and she's like a little offended, but then he like shows her and like kind of teaches her how to let her passion loose, and Jane's just like overtaken by this sensuality and passion and just like attacks him with sex. So she was a pretty easy turn. She probably hasn't had sex in like 20 years. I don't know what the situation was like with her husband, but it didn't seem great. And so she's smitten, and then we see Cher. Alex and Suki are biking presumably to his house. So, they find out his name. Yeah. They finally remember it. It's Daryl Van Horn. Who knew the devil's name is Daryl? Like, if I could pick a devil name, I would pick that too. It's a terrible name. No offense, Daryls. All Daryls out there. I am sorry. But they're going to his house to play tennis. I guess they've been invited for lunch and tennis.
And at this point, Alex thinks, okay, this is like my new boyfriend. Like, not only like did we have like a good like romp fest, but he's also like the greatest guy ever, and like you're gonna love him because I don't think anybody has.
No, I think she thinks that like he knows that Jane. They know. I thought they knew that.
No,
well, they don't know that, but I think she wants them to also enjoy him and like his. Like, I don't think she thinks he's hers.
No, I think she did because they were both like kind of shocked when they saw each other, and she was like, "Why is Jane so close?"
I thought she was like when she said like Jane will love him. I thought she meant like we'll also have sex with him and like enjoy it.
That. I think she thought like, "Oh, this is like my like legit boyfriend now."
I don't know. I disagree, but. They go to the estate and they find Jane sunning on a lounge chair in a bathing suit, looking very different. As Sweetie said, amazing makeover. Her hair is down and loose, curly, wearing this, is it a bathing suit?
It looked like a bathing suit.
But she could play tennis in it too. And she's wearing like sneakers. It's a cute little outfit.
Visor.
And a visor. But they're like, who are you? And she's also has a very different attitude. And she's like very bitchy and is like, darling, like it gets the caviar is like something she would probably say. So then they have this tennis match. He meets Suki. She's obviously like, well, okay, this guy's crazy. So they play tennis. He does a little, devil parlor trick where he makes the tennis ball slow down. And it's this fun moment. Yay, woo, funny, yay. But nobody talks about it. No one's like, what's happening? They're just like, this is fun. And that's that. So then they go and they have a lovely time at this amazing pool in the house, which I love, and indoor pool. And then he seduces Suki, which is also pretty easy.
Well, she knows what's going on.
Yeah. She's like, are you going to seduce me too? And she's like, okay, but like, I'm probably going to get pregnant.
Right. So she tells him she's super fertile, and he's like, obviously great, double babies. And they kind of have this talk. And again, it's like this sort of, oh, you're not like other guys, like this kind of a thing. It's like they haven't encountered very nice men in their lives, both like their exes and people around town who are just kind of like, not a good representation of the male population. So he does seem like this diamond in the rough, like, awesome, let's do this. So then it becomes, and like, it's not clear on like timeline here because that like, are they just at the house like, I think it's supposed to be they just kind of keep going over there and hanging out, right? So it becomes part orgy, part like let's bring our kids over and play with balloons like this with Uncle Derek. Like what is Daryl, Uncle Daryl? Like let's eat a lot of fruit. Like let's play games where we like you make us fly. Yeah. Like so, but I don't know like what the timeline is there. I think it's just they kind of keep going up there.
Hard to say. Guess. Maybe if we paid attention to the seasons. We would know, but I didn't really see a huge indication of that. But anyway, so there's this woman in town. I guess she's a select woman or something, Felicia, who's married to the guy who runs the paper that Suki works at. And she was immediately like something was wrong as soon as this Daryl guy came into the picture. At first she's like, oh, he's killing the birds, the snowy egrets like up there. That's bad. But then it's like starting to turn into something else. She starts turning into like a crazy preacher basically. And is like, I think he's the devil. Like these women are whores. And is like all crazy. So she has this accident, it breaks her leg, blah, blah, blah. She starts spouting off all this like crazy shit about how she knows what he's doing up there and like they're like having sex. There's dildos. She's like saying all this like
which wasn't
silly
probably
stuff.
Untrue.
I'm sure there was a dildo or two hanging around. But she also says like random. She's just like saying random shit. She'd be like, evil oven mitts, bugs, dildos. Like,
no, something is like fruit flies, like something like that. Yeah. Anal beads. It's like weird sexual stuff too. Yeah. So she's like flipping out. So the doctors tell her husband that like when you break your leg, some of the bone marrow like goes into your bloodstream and the fat like think it metabolizes and it makes you crazy. Is that true?
I don't think it's an all the time occurrence, but I think that's like maybe that can happen sometimes and that's how they're explaining it. But we know the real reason it's happening is because she's some like I don't know.
Well, was
why she was affected like that?
The like bastion of morality, and like because she's so like pure, it affected her like so much that like she was in the presence of the devil.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Very smart. So she
tells her husband.
She tells her husband that they have to do something about it. Oops! Here comes a story in the newspaper that's called like. What was it called? Like Sex at the Hill or something? Yeah. I don't know. Basically, an article about this Daryl guy and how he like took over the house and just killing all the egrets. And by the way, there's 3 women up there living with him and like having sex. And it's very odd story to print. So Suki like loses her job or whatever. The town thinks they're all whores. It's very dramatic. So let's do something about it. And Daryl's like, here, eat these cherries. And they're like, okay. So they eat literally like 1,000 cherries out of this gigantic bowl. I can have like 3 cherries max, those big Bing cherries. Bings. Man, they're just like housing those. I was like, whoa, ladies, too many cherries. And they're like spitting the pits in the pool. Nasty.
I don't know. I thought they got them into the big bowl that like... That they were taking the cherries. I saw them
floating around, and Daryl was like spitting his in the plate. What the fuck? So anyway, so when they do that, evidently it is another devil parlor trick that causes a person of your choosing to barf up all this cherry pits and cherry
juice
in general. Gross. Yeah. Pretty upsetting. We'll talk about it, but that happens to Felicia, and then her husband is like, okay, time to end this, and kills her basically because he can't deal with this shit no more. I mean, more power to you, man. I support you, whatever. Yeah. So he gets taken away. It's this big thing. Obviously, that's very traumatic. And the girls start realizing, or the women start realizing that something is wrong with Daryl. Like he got them to say all this like bad stuff about Felicia, and then oops, this happens. What's the coincidence? There's all these coincidences.
Well, this is like too real now because they're like, okay, somebody died. Like something is wrong here. Because I mean, they don't get I think they understand that he's like magical, but I don't think they think he's like evil or anything yet. They don't like know that.
Not yet.
And
now so they're like, whoa.
They all get into this fight at one point and start yelling at each other, and then the ground literally splits at their feet.
Earthquake.
And that freaks them out even more. So they like run to their houses, separate directions, and like don't want to talk to anybody, including Daryl. Now Daryl gets, a little freaked out. He one needy bastard. And he needs his quote-unquote family. So he calls them. He goes to their houses. They refuse to see him because obviously like they're a little spooked. And he doesn't take it well.
No, not at all.
So when they were all hanging out one night, like whatever, weeks prior, he's like interviewing them with a video camera and getting very deep, and they start talking about life and basically like their fears. So he has this like all on video, which is like not great for them because he's able to use it against them. So at this time also, Jane finds out she's pregnant. So that about Jane is that she was infertile, or so she thought, and that's why her husband left her. So she couldn't have kids. So she's very excited that she's going to have a baby. Runs to Daryl's house to tell him, and sees him in a not great way in front of his, and he has this big section of like, I don't know, 16 TVs, like all put together to make one big TV, but they're individual ones too. And he's playing that creepy video of them like saying all like their fears. So Jane's fear was that sometimes she looks in the mirror and she sees like life slipping away. So essentially like her like mortality, getting older, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, she looks at her hands, and they're old lady hands. She looks in the mirror. She's an old lady.
Scary.
She flips fuck out and runs out of there. Then
it's gone, but it stops.
Yeah.
and then realizes, oh, this is a mirage. So then she hears Alex's video playing next, in which Alex is like, I'm afraid of snakes. And we're like, great. No. So she's like, Alex. So she runs over to Alex. Alex is sleeping, is awakened by something slithering through her hair. 2 guesses as to what it is. Opens, puts her sheets up. Oh my God. I've never seen so many snakes in my life, including a gigantic fucking like anaconda or something that is like the biggest snake I've ever seen in my life. Like it's literally that snake that like ate that woman in that village that they like cut open and they're like, there's a woman in there. Like that's how big it was. So, but then those snakes go away at 2, and she runs outside, and Jane is there. She's like, it's Daryl, like he's doing this. So then they're like, Suki. So Suki, poor Suki, Sooks, her fear, pain. Oof. It's a bad one to pick, Suki. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if only she knew this would be used against her in a court of devil law, she would say something different. But yeah, pain. So he takes another piece of fruit and slices it with a knife, and she's in so much pain. It's like, it's painful to watch because it's like, it's really scary.
And she's bleeding.
Bleeding, yeah. And then
she also has really bad cold sores.
Right, and we don't know why, and it's not explained. And so then they get to her, whatever. She's in the hospital. The doctors don't know what's wrong with her.
I'm just time out. You know what that looked like? The like weird mold that is in Princess Bride, the albino.
She did. She totally looked like that. Good one. Oh, that's a great costume. If I didn't care about what I look like, I would be that. Year. Maybe next
Saturday
year.
Halloween party.
Maybe next year is the year. But so she's in the hospital. The doctors don't know what's wrong with her, but they know she's pregnant. And Jane's like, I'm pregnant too. And then Alex is like, fuck him. It's like, so now they know, like, okay, he got us all pregnant so he could like have his spawn of the devil or whatever. So Alex is like, have gone far enough. Like, I'm going to tell him to stop. So she goes over to his estate, kind of essentially apologizes and like turns back on like the love and the charm that they like initially felt in an effort to save Suki. And then suddenly Suki's all better. And she's like, yay. So then they go back to Daryl's house wearing gowns. And they have this, like, I guess, orgy that night. And then the next morning, he's like, I'm going into town. Got to pick up some ice cream and bagels that the women have a craving for. I don't know why he needs to do the shopping. Like, just send, what is his name? Fidel? Like, he can do it. So Daryl leaves. The women immediately get down to business. They're like, all right, let's do this. So they get out the, like, devil book or whatever, the Maleficio. And
which is that's the first time you see that.
Right.
So they don't have any mention of it.
Right. And they don't have any mention of the fact that like they understand that they're witches or like anything like that. So this part like is a little rushed and like it comes out of nowhere kind of. But apparently there's a spell in there that's like how to banish your devil. Yeah. And
why would you have a book that has that?
I know. Yeah, you make a voodoo doll basically, and then put some feathers, do the cherry trick again, whatever. So they're inflicting on him all this pain. They're like causing all this wind gusts to blow him into a church. He starts spouting all these crazy things off at the church, pukes cherries on everybody in the church. It's pretty awful. And then they take the pins out and are like, did it work? And I'm like, I don't know, but keep the pins in. Like, what are you thinking? So they take them out, and of course he's better immediately, and then runs back home. And they're like, we should clean this up in case we didn't do it. And he comes back, and I'm like, I think he's gonna know you did something. Like cleaning up's not gonna do anything. So whatever, they clean up, and then he comes home, and he like bat out of hell comes into this estate. Is back to the satanic pig noises and is like running around.
He now looks like the devil. His like nasty claws, hairy hands, hairy like werewolf feet. His whole face has changed. Is all like spines out of whack. I mean, he has been through like some incredible like physical things.
But he's also
he's devil. Fucking sketchy, and now he's really able to do like a lot of like supernatural shit. But fortunately, they still do have that voodoo doll and are able to get it and break it into a billion pieces. So then he kind of changes form a little bit, but then ends up growing into this giant, scary ogre thing. And it's like out the window, and he's like attacking them through the kitchen. And
there's fire.
So he's like this wax figure kind of the little voodoo dolls all split up, and they just chuck the voodoo doll into the fire. Boom. Guy melts.
easy solution. And then he turns into like a weird like seed pod, just kidding, like a tree root, and is like poof, and then just disappears and he's gone. So then cut to 18 months later. They've had their babies, 3 little boys, all with the same hair color as the women. Cute, nice touch. You don't hear their names except for Alex's, which is Nicky, which is funny because that's like the son of Satan's. Like Nicholas is like that, right? That's the thing.
Little Nicky.
Little Nicky, I think, is the sequel to Witches of Eastwick. I'm pretty sure. So then the babies are like off in their little like bubble walker. What are those things called? Those walker
rainbow
things?
walkers?
Rainbow walkers or whatever. Find their way into the big TV room. And who should come on the television set but old Daryl back at it, coming to you live from the TV, and is like, "Hi boys, like let's not get your moms involved." And then, but the women come and then shut him off, and then that's it. That's the end.
And they're like kind of laughing, and I mean, there's one point where Jean is like, "Oh, I miss him," and then they're all kind of thinking very longingly about him.
But they're not supposed to.
And
they're not supposed to all think that together
I guess
because
that
he could come back.
conjure him back.
Yes, I'm assuming.
So, but they seem to be like kind of lighthearted about it. They know like he can't like come back, but I think that they do like miss him and enjoyed like.
And
the
they're
time
like
that
living
they
at the
spent.
house, yeah. And they have this nice, sweet little life together with all their kids, and they kept Fidel on as, as the help, which is nice. So yeah, good times. Whew. Okay.
Yeah. So trippy movie. What's the moral of the story?
Stick with your women and don't give 2 shits about men. Also, don't get seduced by the devil.
That there are no perfect men, maybe even
no
one that they
perfect
conjure.
men. Yep.
Because what was interesting, and we kind of skipped over this part, but like when he is in the church and he is like spitting the cherries and stuff, and he's like lecturing the church about how evil women are. So he does like an about face, basically. I mean, he clearly faked the whole thing to just like seduce them.
Right.
But then there's also a part where like he flips out about being very insecure and like I just wanted a family and I just wanted to be like taken care of and stuff like that. So it's like I don't know like what you're supposed to like think about him. I mean, clearly he's like a devil and not really empathetic and all that stuff and selfish, but like
yeah. Well, I think so. Like if you think of devils or demons or whatever as like in the biblical sense, they were originally angels, right? And they were like cast out of heaven for something. And so maybe it's like a sense of that, like, oh, I just want to like feel like I belong again and like not like this outcast, whatever. Like he has insecurities too. Who knew? But yeah, that is interesting.
But they didn't kill him, really.
No, I don't know what. I don't think you can. I think
Kind
they
of
can. They like
banished him?
exorcise the demon, and banished him to the tree root world of fun or whatever. But if he can come back on the TV whenever he wants, like I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, like if they miss him, they can just be like, "Oh, there he is on the TV again!" Like, yay, right? I don't know.
Second question: are they actual witches?
Well, so I mean, they made that thing happen before he arrived, so maybe he like sensed their power and like they conjured him somehow. But I don't know.
But why would he want witches?
Well, that's a whole thing about like the devil and the witches are witches because they made a pact with the devil and they're like his servants or whatever. Like in Hocus Pocus, when they think Gary Marshall's the devil, they're like so attracted to him and like that's like the trope, I think, with witches and the devil. They serve their lord, the Dark Lord, or whatever. Right,
and I think he thought he could sort of like buy them, like take their souls like a little bit because they were so unhappy there and were like, they stuck out, as I said, in like that village as people who were not really that moral or who were could be corrupted, let's say. So he kind of did corrupt them, but then they won in the end. They were good.
Can you talk into your microphone more, please?
I'm right here.
I know, but your lines are so little. Okay. Yes. So I think we should talk about things we remembered from when we watched this when we were little. You start because you said you remembered more about the beginning than the end.
So what do I remember? So the main thing is the cherries. It's got to be the cherries, right?
Yes.
That's if like I could just pick one scene that was standing out was definitely the throwing up cherries scene. Now in my mind, I thought that she threw up in the church.
Me too, yeah.
I had like switched those and forgot that there's a Jack Nicholson cherry throwing up scene actually in the church. So I had like switched those two. And then I must have like switched because she does have that freak out in the church. So maybe it was
right.
Like, that's what I did.
That's definitely
So I completely forgot it was like in her living room. But that is like, okay, first of all, yes, Jack Nicholson as the devil is like scary, but for most of it, he's not scary. And he's kind of like, charming and whatever. But the scariest part for me is that Felicia bitch, man. What the fuck? Great actress and so terrifying.
Those religious nut jobs.
Oh my God. She's like literally foaming at the mouth. Yeah. There's like so much spittle coming from her when she's like freaking out. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, as you know, I have a little bit of a phobia of barf, but I did watch this scene. I was very proud of myself. I think I got over it because like I barfed like sort of recently, just a little bit. And I was like, okay, it's not that bad. And then I remember that it's like, you're not going to die. It's just a thing that happens. So now I feel like a little more secure about it. And for the most part, barf in movies and TV is fine, except that this scene is like so realistic barfy. Like there's this like whole like gag segment before that.
That's
and
the part.
Then
it's
the,
not
like,
even the projectile that's bad
the like
for me.
burp.
It's the
like,
gag burp.
That really gets to me.
And they do that so convincingly.
I know
actors.
it's a little scary,
Yeah.
and I think it's mostly sound, right? Like post they add those sounds in later, I think. But boy, that scene is hard to watch.
I guess for the Felicia barf scene, they made like a life-size version of her puppet thing that was like going to do like most of the barfing, but like people were so traumatized by it and it was like so gross and weird looking that they didn't use any of those takes.
Good.
I know. And on the set, people were like, thought it was the weirdest thing because it would like convulse and like make all these movements and stuff. And it was like this real like a life-size version of that actress.
Oh.
Weird, huh?
But yeah, I remember that part as well. But I don't remember being traumatized. I remember it being gross, but I don't remember being like, it's definitely not the thing that like scared me from barf, like being afraid of barf my whole life, which I'm surprised about.
Oh, totally. And I would love to know, and maybe if I reread the book, like, is that in the book? It has to be because it's like so strange. Like, who would think of that? And like, why did he think of that? Like, and also, is there a connection with cherries? Something with like the pit or like cherries and women or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
a seed,
the pomegranate, like the Demeter or whatever.
Something. Is there some biblical thing like attached to that? Yeah. Because that's so interesting to me. So like, I don't know, but it's just like such a strange scene, and that they use it like twice. It's like,
yeah. Nuts. Definitely. I remember the tennis game when I was little, so I do remember that scene fondly. It's funny that they don't question. They're not like, they just accept it. And maybe that's part of like his devil charms, just to be like, oh, this is great. But I remember that scene. I thought it was funny that Jane plays in a bathing suit and sneakers. Also, why is everyone like always so good at tennis, right? In movies, they're just like, I can do a serve for real. And meanwhile, like real life is like, what's happening? And you're like, and then I hit the ball like way over the fence. I'm like, okay, not like a natural as people in movies are.
The tennis ball was orange and also has his last
well, it was
name
like
on
his
it.
custom ball. Yeah. Obviously, it was his devil ball.
Custom balls. Devil
ball.
Did you know also that Industrial Light and Magic, which is the Star Wars,
George Lucas,
Star Wars like effects house, right? Did that little bit there.
I did not know that.
Yep, they animated the ball, the devil ball.
Yeah, I mean it was good, but it was just like a floating ball. Yeah. Nothing to see here, folks. Next. I also remembered the pool scene, and I thought that was so cool. Yeah. And I've always wanted like a giant indoor pool like that. And there's movies that have things like that. I think that pool is the one in California at the like Warner Brothers studio or whatever. But there's one on like the Hearst Ranch has like a really pretty like indoor pool like that too. And I just think it's so cool. Oh man, I love that. I love that scene. And there's like a fire pit in the middle of the pool. That's super cool. This is sexy hair time. I do remember all of their hair being like very big and curly.
I'm telling you, if you sleep with the devil, do you get an immediate perm? Because I
think so.
I would
it's
sell
like,
my
it's just
soul
a way that
for
they like
hair.
it's like an easy way to show like sensuality.
Sensuality, like sexy,
Yeah.
like women of the earth.
Yeah.
But they all look great. Love their big hair. I have total big hair envy. It looks so good on them. And I love how they did do represented like of every woman, let's say, because they have a redhead, a brunette, and a blonde. And when they're together, it's like so striking. Like it looks really good. Just like visually.
It is cool.
Other scenes I remember, the voodoo doll scene. I love voodoo doll scenes. Take it back to Teen Witch.
Yeah,
Excellent
Teen Witch for more
voodoo
info.
doll scene. Trying to think of like what other ones. Weekend at Bernie's 2, maybe?
No, that one's like a spell.
You know, like she has some voodoo thing, and that's
When
how she
she-
makes them like alive or something.
No, it's like a spell.
Anyway, I'm sure there's other ones, but I just find like the voodoo concept like very, very fascinating. And this one's kind of great because it's wax, so they can really like stick stuff in there. Wasn't totally sure about like the effect of the feathers and like why that was like used at all. Seemed like
I don't know.
not
Yeah,
a
seemed to
big deal.
create wind, but or mostly just like a sticky like nuisance.
Sticky stuff, or like tar and feathering.
yeah.
Was it supposed to be like something with
I
that?
don't think so.
And then I remember the baby scene a lot.
Oh my god, I wrote that too. Babies.
Yeah, for some reason, like I remember the ending.
Just
Like,
thought it was
crystal
funny
clear.
that they had all the same hair colors them, and that they like see him in the TV. I thought that was cool. But then I also remembered the giant, the gross devil at the end. Again, like we said, scary claws. Disgusting. He's like nasty teeth. Scary. It's that scene. There's a lot of movies like this where you have like a devil or demon, whatever, and they have a alternate appearance, right? And then that mask comes off, like in the Witches, like their true form is very scary, and you're like, wow. So it's that. But then the very end with the giant devil outside in the garden. Oh man. I don't know why that cracks me up. It's pretty ridiculous. He's like, he has his head is like, the neck is like this long, like snaky thing, and it's like, he's like making weird like demon noises, and then that little like stump at the end. What is
I
that?
don't understand that.
He's
at
like going
all.
back to the earth. Like what?
He's like,
yeah. But he's like makes a hilarious noise.
and
Yeah,
then
it's
just like combust. I mean, I do like, and so obviously throughout history, there's been so many different like interpretations of witches, right? Whether you have like the Witch in Wizard of Oz with the pointy hat and the green face, or the witches, the Roald Dahl book, where they're like in society, but they're like old ladies and they're really gross. And then you have like this concept where it's like the hot witch who just does like cool things. I really like that. And I also like the different interpretations of the devil, right? And why this one, I think, movie is so interesting because, okay, what's like everyone's, the number one thing when you think of the devil?
guy with red horns
Exactly. That
pitchfork?
the devil could walk among us
Oh.
as like a person with like a lot of charisma seems like a little bit more legit. I mean, he might be like
Yeah.
scary and horned in the
Yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
but
I know,
like that.
yeah. And I think, I see the point of Jack Nicholson not being super attractive, but there is something about him that's alluring. But I still think it would have been better with somebody who was like very handsome, who then
You think it would be
turned
better?
ugly. Yeah.
No.
Like, I still want it to be Jack Nicholson, just she was like a little more handsome. Like, they give him this disgusting ponytail. It is a like half ponytail of
a
a
man
man
pony.
bob
It's
in
a
a
man pony,
ponytail.
I'd say.
So it's like that greasy, like I think Alec Baldwin had the same hairstyle in Working Girl, and it's just like a very upsetting. It's
Well,
awful.
Like, his hair isn't really long enough
No.
for a pony because like a big chunk of it like hangs down, but he's like still. It just makes him seem like such a slickster.
And there's
you know?
always like flyaways,
flyaways,
and he
and, like-
just is like sloppy all the time. He wears weird ass clothes.
Yeah, but I think it was such a great line because like when Alex like tears him down,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, this is exactly what we're all thinking. Like, why would they
Yeah.
be attracted to this guy? He's like such a frump. He like takes off all his clothes and he has these like weird high water pants. He does not have a good body. Like why are people attracted to him? Which I think is in general what people think about Jack Nicholson. Like why?
But I'm not attracted to him.
No, but I think people are. I mean, he has gotten like very like beautiful women to fall in love with him in his personal life for like ever. Still like as love interests as a love interest for like a bunch of movies, and even in his old age, right? The Diane Keaton one, like the Terms of Endearment, so he like was still rocking that. I mean, I don't think he is anymore, but he's definitely interesting looking, but it's more about that like charisma, right? So like, can you be kind of like unattractive, and still like get ladies? And you definitely can.
Yeah, but he's still like basically a dick though. Like I still think it's mostly his devil magic that like gets them to love him, because nothing he's saying is like very charming to my mind.
Well,
anyways,
through the lens now, but I think like what those women were kind of used to, I think it was something really different for them to interact with a man like that who seemed really understanding and like understand their plight. Again, it was all just like a facade, because he was actually worse than anybody. He was the devil,
right.
But he was also, just like I said, like so needy. I mean, devil does not handle rejection well.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
dude,
Can't
like
tell him
lighten
no.
up, and he was just like so sensitive and like just like a hot mess. And obviously he just like turned against them and tried to hurt them. So that was really sad. Question for you. What do you think the devil smells like?
Poop. No. It's like usually in most literature, it's like a sulfur smell, because he's from like hell, which is like sulfurous and like So I think that is what they get at. But there is a lot of like fly sounds in this, and you hear like flies buzzing sometimes around him. And this is when he's not gross devil. It's just like all the time. And I think that they're going like he's, I guess, Beelzebub, which is the devil, the Lord of the Flies is essentially what that is. And he is one of the like 12 demons in the underworld or whatever, but probably the most famous one.
So there
you
could
may
be
have
like
heard that
a
name
couple.
in the Queen song Bohemian Rhapsody. There's several. There's lots of demons, but like that is commonly referred to as like Satan himself is like this. So yes, it's the devil, but I thought that was interesting, and something obviously I didn't know when I was younger, but now I'm mature and intelligent.
Well, I mean, Alex says he smells right out, and then when Suki meets him, she's kind of like smelling funny, so you kind of get the sense that like he don't smell great.
Gross.
He don't smell like roses.
Gross.
But
Any other questions?
Don't
I love questions.
Need a little closer, see roses really smell like poo, poo, poo. No, I don't think I have any more questions, but fun facts. We said this was filmed in Massachusetts. Woo! Massachusetts pride, mass holes. Both in the South Shore, which is south of Boston, and the North Shore, north of Boston.
What?
So Sweetie and I here go to the North Shore a lot because we got this beach pass to this place called Crane's Beach, which is like a big estate that this rich family used to own, and there's a mansion there. And I guess they filmed part of this movie there. Who knew?
Pretty cool.
Who knew?
We should really go. We should go there. We got a discounted rate with our pass.
I know.
So we should
gotta see if
should
it like
do it.
matches up.
I find it frustrating that it's Crane Beach and not Crane's Beach, and I think it just doesn't sound. I think it doesn't sound right, but that's just
Was it the cranes in the movie who were like nesting? No, egret, because he kept saying like egret.
Yeah,
egret.
there's no cranes.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about that, and I wish that it was called Crane's Beach.
Yeah.
It would make me feel better mentally. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, cool Massachusetts pride, and it's really beautiful. Like where they live and stuff is so cool, and looks really awesome. And I'm like, I have
Seaside
to remind us
town.
that it's like in our backyard.
Yeah. Good times.
Mass pride.
Any other trivias?
No, but I really like this movie. It's like totally funky, you know? It's like funky.
It's good.
It's feminist. It's like kind of long, but all around like a good time, good performances, I'd say. It's very sexual. I mean, it's very like a lot of dirty words. As we said, a lot of penis talk.
A lot of dicks.
A lot of dick talk. Nothing like visually like super sexual though. Like they only show them like making out a little bit. But like all the other sort of like, I mean, it's almost the stuff you don't see that's almost like even more
Suggestion.
It's
powerful.
scandalous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I wonder if this was rated. Probably R.
It said R.
Oh, no. Okay.
Jimmy was like, ooh, R. And he was excited. So that was what I remembered.
Jimmy did not like the movie.
It's too weird for him. He didn't like it. He thought it should be called The Devil or something. So, yeah. Fuck you, Jimmy. No, just kidding. Love you. Love you. Yeah.
That's mean. Glad he watched it with us. Thanks for being a good sport on this Halloween night. What a sweet tie.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything else? That's it. Okay. All right, cool. Well, do you like witches? Do you like the Witches of Eastwick? Do you like Cher? Obviously you do.
Avi.
Come find us at the Sweetie Club on Twitter or on Instagram at Large March Santas. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Rape artist.